This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 57.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 57, and in today's episode, I've got a very special guest for you. His name is Matthew Paulson. He runs marketbeat.com, where he sends a daily financial newsletter to over 300,000 subscribers. Very amazing episode today, so make sure to listen to it and enjoy today's show. Hi, Matthew, and welcome to the Extra Paycheck Podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
Matthew, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what is that you do as a business.
Yep, so I run a digital publishing company called MarketBeat, and we send out a daily investment newsletter to about 310,000 subscribers. Basically, it's just a way for people that invest in single stocks to keep track of what's going on with their company. So whenever a company announces a dividend, announces their earnings, or has a big news item, we just put that into a quick summary, kind of like the business section of a morning newspaper, but it's only about the stocks that you care about. And people have found that really valuable. We've been doing this for about 5 years now. We have a network of news websites that get about 3 million page views a month. We do quite well with things like Google AdSense and co-registration advertising, and we sell emails against our list, and we have subscription products. So it's kind of, we run a gamut in terms of monetization, and it's kind of become a really nice little profitable business for us.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. 310,000 subscribers.
Yes. Yep.
That's a lot.
It is. So there's basically, getting traffic for financial stuff is very different than you doing SEO or social media for basically anything else. It all kind of centers around a single stock ticker. So if we publish news, we tag it with a stock ticker, and then it might get picked up by MSN Money or StockTwits or Twitter under a cash tag. And there are people that just want to hear the latest news about, say, Citibank or Citigroup. So they'll go to their favorite, financial news website of their choice, whether that be Yahoo Finance, Google Finance, anything like that. And then our stories kind of show up in the news section for, any specific stock. And we've been able to kind of figure that game out pretty well, and we get a lot of traffic from that. And I know a little bit about email marketing, so we have turned that into a very good way to attract emails for our mailing list.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And Matthew, tell me, MarketBeat, you started it, you mentioned 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was kind of late 2010, early 2011 we had started that. Before that, I was doing a personal finance blog. I had a few different websites. We sold links on them to people for like $100, $200 a year. And I made 50, 60 grand a year doing that. When the Google algorithm changes kind of started happening early 2011, the very first Panda update, we got hammered pretty hard by that. And so did basically every other personal finance blogger. So I just kind of wanted to, I figured, okay, I want to do something that's not just relying on the main Google search to get traffic. And I kind of landed on the investing thing.
So that's how MarketBeat was started. And how did you manage to grow it that huge within 5 years, which I think is like very short time to build such a big website?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a matter of, I don't think we do anything, like once we have somebody on our mailing list, we don't do anything all that special that nobody else does. I think we just have found really good marketing channels and have been able to exploit those. Like we do co-registration advertising, so if you sign up for an email or an email list on, say, like thestreet.com, you'll see an ad for MarketBeat. If you check that box, you'll get signed up for our list, and we'll pay anywhere from $2 to $4 for that email sign up. And then I know that over the course of 2 years, I'll make $7 to $9 off that email. So it's a pretty good place to throw money in terms of advertising. The ROI is it's such a known quantity. I can throw basically an unlimited amount of money at that and know I'm going to get it back within a couple of years, and then a lot more.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And this is something that I think is very hard to figure out for a lot of beginners, especially in the online marketing space. Like people don't tend to track things. They have no idea what they can or should pay for customer acquisition, let's say, or to add someone on their emailing list. And I think this is really important and huge, but a lot of us don't do it. And I just I haven't been tracking my stuff as I should be
Mm-hmm.
all the time, and I still am not. I think there's still a lot of improvement that I should do in order to track my conversions, my everything.
Yeah.
So that's something that this is big what you're telling me right now.
Yeah, I mean it's really not that hard to do. It's okay, how many email signups do I have? And based off that, how many products have I sold? How much have I gotten in affiliate commissions from emailing my list, stuff like that, and then just dividing it out, on a per subscriber basis. And it's not that hard to figure out, okay, this is what an email has been worth to me right now, and if I assume that, any new emails I get are going to be kind of work the same way as the ones I already have, it's not hard to figure out what email is worth to you and then what you can pay based off that. I never try to pay more than maybe basically half of what my lifetime value is. So if I know I'm going to make $8 off an email, I would never want to pay more than $4 because, you have to do some work to get that $8 back, and it costs people to have money on your list, and you want there to be a good ROI there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So Matthew, how much income is MarketBeat bringing on as a business?
So in 2014, so I think it's 2 years ago now, we did 1.56 million, and then in 2015, last year, we did 2.71 million. So we grew about 70% last year.
Wow, that is huge.
Yep. We in 2011 we made, I want to say, $276,000. So we've grown by maybe 900% in the last 4 years. So that hopefully we're going to try to get on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing privately held companies this year. So hopefully that'll be enough to get on there.
Yeah, and I'm sure that would bring a lot more traffic and a lot more subscribers.
Yeah, it's a credibility thing more than anything, but it'd be fun to have that award.
Yeah, totally. This is amazing, and I really hope that people listening to this podcast are paying attention right now. It was a company that started 5 years ago, and it's made almost $3 million in 2015 within 5 years. And it's something that I don't want to say that anybody could do that, because I'm sure you've done like a lot of work that people can't even imagine to do, or a lot of people just aren't ready to work as hard, and a lot of people don't have the mindset even to get this kind of work done. But what I'm trying to say that it's possible to make something really huge with a website. Basically, that's where it started. It was just a website.
Yeah, it started out as investing news website called American Banking News. We rebranded to MarketBeat.com last year because it's an awesome name. But I started out with a little website with 3 or 4 writers on it, writing about investing news, and we've just been working really hard for a really long time, and it started to pay off really well for us in the last couple of years. But 6 or 7 years ago, I was just a guy with a personal finance blog, trying out every little niche site or every little make money online idea I could to generate revenue. And I just kind of stumbled on something that was a really awesome opportunity for me based on my skill set. And I, just worked a lot for a long time, and it turned out into a nice business.
This is interesting. And I'd like to maybe ask you a few more questions about starting MarketBeat in 2010, because I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in how exactly did it start. Like you mentioned, you hired some writers, but how often would you write content, and how targeted the content was?
Yeah. So I guess maybe, the way that this business kind of started was when we had gotten hit by the first Panda update, just like every other personal finance blog did. I thought, okay, am I still getting traffic from anywhere? And our site was indexed into Google News. So that means our stuff could go into Google Finance. And whenever we would write a story about a publicly traded company, it would show up in that Google Finance feed. And then later it would show up in like the MSN Money feed and some of those things. And they would send some traffic to us. So I thought, hey, we're only publishing a few of these articles, a month. What if we only wrote about, news for publicly traded companies? And, we were able to get up to probably about 1 million page views after doing that for maybe 6 months. So 1 million page views a month. And the way that we did that was, I just had 5 writers. We probably published between 200 and 500 stories a month. So I'd pay, maybe $10 a story. and we'd make the money back with that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of content, but it was still manageable just because I had some writers that could do a good volume of stuff without writing absolute crap. But it's a business that works better at scale, definitely.
Yeah, totally. And see, this is what I always try to understand to explain to people, especially once again newbies, when they are asking me, okay, I have a website and I think my offer is good, whatever I'm promoting or selling, but I'm not making any money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask them, okay, like how many people are seeing your website? And they come up with a number, something like 100 people a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, 100 people a month, you can't. It's not that you can't expect sales, because even if you do get sales from that, you can't quantify that to anything because it's such a small amount of traffic.
Yeah.
So I always tell them you have basically two ways. Either you work really hard for like 18 hours a day, publishing lots of amazing content and then promoting it, or you pay for either content or clicks. But you can't just like write stuff from time to time and expect to have traffic and to have conversions and to have sales. You need to get a lot of traffic, quality traffic, and you either have to work really hard on that or you have to pay for that. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, people don't understand how much work building a successful internet business is. It's not something you screw around with and play with for 2 or 3 hours on a weekend. It's a it's a 20-hour a week thing. Real actual 20 hours. 5 to 9 p.m., 4 or 5 days a week to really make that happen. You have to produce a lot of content, you have to promote it, or you have to pay for it. There's not really any shortcuts to just get a crap ton of traffic for no work. It just doesn't happen.
Totally. And this is something that I noticed with my own website, because the Extra Paycheck blog has been running for past 8 years, but it's been, up and down. I've been working on it. I quit it. I lost it a few times. And I wasn't sure if I want to come back to it. So it's a really long story, right?
Yeah.
But what I noticed, the big difference, let's say from 2014 and 2015, let's say if we compare the same month, December, for instance, right?
Yep.
I think I increased the traffic by 400%.
Okay. How'd you do that?
Just writing content and promoting it. But see, here's like a trick that that kind of people don't like to hear. A lot of people don't like to hear it. My content is not what it used to be, because when I just started, I wrote more content, right, than I do now. But my articles were a lot shorter. It was like 300-word articles that didn't give any insights. It was just blah. It wasn't anything valuable or helpful.
Yeah.
So now my articles are a lot longer. Sometimes I go as far as 6,000-7,000 words per article, which is hard to write. It takes me a day. Sometimes it takes me 2 or even 3 days, including all the research and thinking that I have to do, like what I'm going to write and how do I make it more valuable. So it's a lot of work, and it does pay off in the end. 400% increase in traffic within a year. I'm happy with it. I wish it was more, but
yeah.
I'm happy with the results. But that's what I show people now, because not just a theory. I'm like, okay, yes, everybody tells you that you need high quality content, let's say. But it's not a theory anymore. Here are my numbers. Here is what I did. And that's the thing that works. And this is, it never worked for me as well before because of that. I didn't have any of that. I wasn't working that hard. I was taking it as I'll do a few hours here and there and maybe I'll make some money out of it. So that was a really wrong way to think about it.
Yeah, I think if you look at some of the podcasters and people that write about internet business that have done really well in the last couple of years, it's just because they produce a crap ton of really good content. And when you look at, there's two guys, Heaton Shaw and Stully FD. Heaton used to run Kissmetrics, and Stully has a blog called Close.io. They do a twice a week podcast that they launched 9 months ago. And just because they've been doing it twice a week consistently, they've built a huge audience in a very, very short period of time. You look at John Lee Dumas, who does, the 5 days a week podcast thing.
Yeah.
He makes $200,000 a month after doing this for 3 or 4 years, just because he shows up every day and produces a ton of content that people find valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's hard to do. That's why those who do succeed is those who actually put in the work and they are being consistent. I think this is one of the biggest secrets of making money online or in any business, really. You have to be consistent, and that's something that a lot of us fail to do. That's super important.
Yeah, I mean, I think people think that they have to be the smartest person in a room or just have, in high school and college, I got a B- kind of average. I was not a super smart kid. I got a 26 on my ACT, which I guess is the Midwest version of the SAT, but though it's not a great score. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's, I certainly wasn't, on stage being, the valedictorian. I didn't really care about school all that much. Didn't try all that hard, but, I'm not the smartest guy around. But I was willing to outwork everybody for, the last decade building my online business in the various forms it's been in. And because I've been able to do that, now I'm 30 years old. I make, $2-3 million a year. I have a personal net worth of probably $10 million now. And the only reason that's happened is because while my friends were out partying on weekends in college, I'd be in my dorm room writing code or writing stories or, for my personal finance blog, or just working my butt off and turning that into a reality over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. So, Matthew, I guess you would agree with the saying that you should keep on doing what you're doing if you're, if you want to keep getting the results that you've been getting.
Sure. I mean, it's you're going to get in, you're going to get out what you put in. So if you half-ass it, you're not going to get any results. Even if you don't know what you're doing and you just keep working on something for, a long period of time, you're going to figure something out eventually. Like the first thing that you do in internet business is probably not going to succeed. The second thing you do is probably not going to succeed. The third thing you do might succeed just a little bit, and the fourth thing you do will really take off. You don't really ever know where you're going to end up in internet business. You just kind of have to get started and work like crazy, and then you'll eventually figure out something that's going to work for you and be able to scale that up.
Yeah, totally. And I think a lot of people that did succeed that we, often hear about is you just mentioned the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast with Johnny Dumas and Pat Flynn as well from the Smart Passive Income.
Yep.
I'm sure when these guys started, when you listen to them and you look into the story, you see that they were really motivated and determined to succeed. But they had no clue if they were going to succeed. They just worked hard, really, really hard, as long as it took until they actually did succeed. But they didn't know what's going to happen in the future. They didn't know how to, start a website to begin with at the very, very beginning. I'm sure we're all like we all have to start somewhere and start learning from the very scratch.
Absolutely. I think, I mean, if you look at guys like Pat and John, and I've met both of those guys, I think the reason they succeed is just they're very likable, and then two, they're willing to outwork everybody. So they look like they're having fun building their internet businesses, but they're really working their butts off and just kind of working to build their personal brand and portray themselves as these really likable guys, which they are, but they want to be this this everyday guy that just built this awesome internet business from scratch, and now they're sharing how to do it with people. That's kind of the brand that they present, and it works out really well for both of them.
Yeah, a lot of work, and as you mentioned, for yourself as well, you have to be willing to outwork everyone else. Yeah. And no way around it.
But if you enjoy what you're doing, it's not really like it's work. It's I wake up every day, I have fun thinking, how can I maximize what my business is doing? How can I get more traffic? How can I get more revenue? Oh, awesome, that thing I did last week worked. Now I'm getting 5% more traffic than I used to do. Just stuff like that, wakes me up every morning. I'm excited to work.
Yeah, that's also very important. When you love doing what you're doing, it comes so much easier.
Yes.
I think. All right, Matthew. So I'd like to shift our conversation to, I guess, the main subject of today's show is email list building.
Sure.
So let me begin with asking you, how important is it to start building a list when once you have a website that's launched, that's live, and it's starting to get traffic?
Yeah. So if your website is up, I would put an email opt-in form on there right away. It's really not that hard to do. You can set up a MailChimp account and do an opt-in form with SumoMe for free. The thing about your email list, it's going to start out really small and look pretty pathetic. But over time, that snowballs. I mean, let's say you add 100 people to your list a month. or 100 people sign up a month. Over 10 months later, you've got 1,000 people on your list, which is awesome. So it's the mistake I made was I didn't. When I was doing my personal finance stuff, I did that for 4 years. I never collected a single email address.
Wow.
So, I could have had an email list of 40, 50,000 people. And that way, when I got hit with the Google Panda update and I lost, 50% of my traffic overnight, I still could have made money off that email list. I could have promoted products to them. I could have had a revenue stream there that was totally independent of, getting Google traffic. And that's kind of really why email has become such a big part of the business I have now, is because I don't want to, have feeding my family be reliant on, a giant company, whether that's Apple or Amazon or Google or Yahoo or whoever, to send me traffic. And it's like, they're never going to talk to me. I'm like a fly. I'm nobody to them. They don't care about me. There's no business development relationship there. So it's, some of the traffic's great for that kind of stuff, but it's not something I want to be the dollars that are feeding my, putting food on the table for my wife and my 3-year-old son. I want to have something else that I control the entire stream of, kind of end to end, and not be reliant on any big company. So I know that, if all the companies that send me traffic now, they kick me out and decide we don't want anything to do with you, I've still got 300,000 people on my email list that will want to hear from me. So I have, out of that 2.7 million in revenue that we did last year, 500 and some thousand of that was just recurring subscriptions. So I can lose all of my traffic and still make probably close to $1 million a year just from that email list.
Wow. Great stuff, man. Yep. And another thing about emailing list that I wanted to ask you is, when you started, let's say, MarketBeats, I guess you started emailing list right away.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How did you pick a company, or I don't know which company you're using now, which software you're using now to run your email list, and how did you pick one? Because we have so many great options, and sometimes people procrastinate and don't start the list because they spend like a month reading reviews and trying to compare and figure out which is one is the best.
Yep. So what I did is not something that anybody else should do, but because of the type of stuff we send out, we have to do all custom software. And then we do email delivery through SendGrid. So they're kind of the back-end infrastructure for our email delivery, but all of the list management and all that kind of stuff is kind of custom code that we've written. I don't recommend that to anybody. There's two I kind of recommend. It's, one, if you have no money, just sign up for the MailChimp free account. Two, if you're serious about business, you're willing to spend $50 a month on managing your mailing list, and you're going to turn your business into something. I really like a service called Drip. It's getdrip.com. It's run by my friend Rob Walling. I don't get any money to promote it, but it's just really, really good software. And a lot of the guys that I know in kind of the internet marketing space that do email seriously have really switched over to that in the last couple of years. And they have just done a really great job of creating an email marketing automation solution that is just incredibly high quality and very usable. And I think it'll be a platform that's going to be improved upon for years to come.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard of them actually, so I'll have to check that out for sure.
Yeah, it's I've heard a lot of good things about them, and I've tried out an account with them for a little project of mine, and I think that's where I'd start.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Matthew, you have a very particular list. It's let's say I think you're one of the people that actually runs a real newsletter, as opposed to most of us who call our emails newsletters, but they aren't, because what you do send out financial news every single morning, right?
Yeah. So what we do is I've built a piece of software that grabs a bunch of RSS feeds and other bits of financial data from people that we license. Then we compile that all into our morning newsletter and send it out. And each person gets a custom newsletter based on the stock tickers they have. So there's a lot of software that goes into it, but it's it's not just a list of stories on our website. It's here is everything you would want to know about the companies you are invested in right now, and people have found that valuable. So it's it's definitely content in a newsletter. It's not what most people would say is a newsletter.
Yeah.
I mean, you can subscribe to it and see what it is. It's free to do. I don't care if people do that. But I don't know. It's definitely a newsletter.
Yeah, and this is actually pretty incredible what you just shared, because this is, I think, one of the reasons for the success of this newsletter is that every customer on your list is getting custom reports, something, as you said, they personally are invested in, which is like a huge value I see here. This is incredibly huge. And I think a lot of people who are listening right now, they are not even realizing how important that is. And, I think it's really hard to do for a lot of us, but there is a lot of like more and more segmentation being done to people's lists, and if somebody signs up on your, let's say, health-related website, signs up to your email list, and they signed up through an offer where you were giving out an exercise plan, and then someone went to another page of your website and they signed up to a diet plan, so you actually try to make sure that they get content related to them, and you're not gonna like send an article how to lose 40 pounds in 2 months to everyone, because a lot of people on your health website, they don't want to lose weight. Maybe they want to gain weight, or they're going to get ripped, So it's super important to try to kind of understand your customers a lot deeper, on a deeper level, and actually send custom stuff to them that they would appreciate more.
Yeah, in the email marketing world, we call that segmentation. So it's, trying to understand who are the different groups of people that get emails from me. What are their hopes, desires, goals? What are they trying to accomplish? And for me, my list is pretty homogenous. It's a lot of older people that have money to invest in stocks, people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, most in the United States. But, if you've got a health blog, that's going to be a wide audience. You don't know if people want to lose weight. You don't know if people want to bulk up, or if they want to become a marathon runner, or what their goals are. So it's one thing you can do is, as part of your email chain, you can ask them like to categorize themselves. So you can say, hey, I would just want to make sure that the email that I send you is the most relevant to you. Could you tell me which one of these 4 categories best describes you? And then I say, I'm a runner. I want to run marathons. Then they could click that link, and then, with Drip or something like that, they can automatically get put into a different autoresponder series and only get content that's, relevant to being a marathon runner, and not, other stuff that they just don't care about. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely the way to go with email marketing. The future of email marketing is not sending blast emails to your entire list. It's, sending very, very targeted emails to small groups of people based on their actions and their intent. Like one thing that we do is that if somebody lands on our payment page and they type in their email address, or if they're already logged in but then they don't click the buy button, that's, we're not an e-commerce website, but that's, a classic cart abandonment. So we, we'll send them 5 emails over the course of the next 5 days saying, hey, I saw you checked out the product page and you went on the payment page, but you didn't buy. Is there, a reason why you didn't buy? Or if you want to, buy now, here's the link to do that. Or you can give them a coupon or do anything like that. So it's, how can you send out a very targeted email to a very targeted group of people? And, the amount of money you can make off of those emails are crazy. Like for the cart abandonment emails, for every one of those messages I send, or every 1,000 messages I send, I make $3,000. So it's, basically for every cart abandonment email that I send, I get $3 back in sales on average, which is it's crazy. So it's just identifying, those times when this person did something, and if I get in front of them right now, maybe they'll do something in return.
That is really crazy, and this is I see how this works and why this is so important, because it's happened to me that I went to buy stuff and I didn't check out for whatever reason. I got distracted. I got a phone call and I forgot about it, and then I closed my tab and then I just forgot that I wanted to buy it,
Yeah.
And this is actually really, really good strategy, I think, to increase your earnings.
Yeah, and there's a few different things like that. Like when somebody buys one of our products, like if they buy a core product, they'll get like a series of training emails that kind of show them how to use it. That kind of reduces their churn rate, so it keeps people subscribed for longer if they know how to use our product and they actually use it. That's a pretty important email series to send after somebody signs up for a product. You kind of remind them of why they bought the product, the features and benefits of the product, how you use the product. And then after that series is done, we'll start an upsell sequence to kind of our higher level product, which is $35 a month instead of $15 a month. Say, okay, you've got our newsletter now. Sign up for our investment research software. You'll also get all these awesome features if you sign up for that. And those emails work pretty well. We have a main autoresponder series. When people, like, one of the things for our newsletter for them to succeed, like really to get the most use out of it, they have to type in their stocks. Say, okay, tell me what stocks you own so I can give you the news for those stocks. If somebody doesn't type in their stocks, we send them a crap ton of emails saying, hey, I noticed you haven't put your stocks in yet. If you need us to do it for you, just email us a list of your stocks and we'll do that for you. So we send out like 10 of those emails if they don't put in their stocks, just because we know that's such an important action we need them to take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is really valuable information you're sharing. And the good thing is that we live in 2016 right now, and doing all of that is now so much easier than it used to be. Right, you have a custom thing going on, but I know there's more and more solutions where they're open to pretty much anyone, where you could do proper segmentation of your list. Yep. And really separate your subscribers to really target them specifically, whatever you're offering, free or paid content or products or promotions or whatever it is.
Yep. Yeah, Drip does that really well. MailChimp does it okay, but most of the major ESPs do that kind of stuff now. Some do it better than others.
Yeah. That's something we have to look into. And I know usually those kind of things are a bit more expensive. So it's something that I don't want to say it's not for everyone, but it really isn't for everyone either. If someone's really bootstrapping every single thing, they might not be able to afford a more sophisticated software. But I think they should find that, as you mentioned, $30, $40 a month to at least start building an email list with MailChimp or any other software like Aweber or whatever it is.
Yeah, a lot of it's how serious you are about building your business. It's your full-time thing and you're going to make it happen one way or another, and you're determined to make money off of it. $30 a month is probably not that big of a deal. If it's something you're just kind of messing with on the side, just go ahead and sign up for the free MailChimp plan.
Yeah, totally. All right, Matthew, I wanted to ask you now about your book. Tell us more about that.
Yep, so I've written 2 books. The most recent one is called Email Marketing Demystified. And that's basically kind of a step-by-step game plan for anyone to implement email marketing in their business. So we kind of, try to take a very, what is everything that anybody would ever need to know to add email marketing to their business. So we talk about different types of software you want to use, like ESPs. We talk about how to get opt-ins. We talk about how to build an autoresponder series, how to build a broadcast calendar, how to monetize your list, how to stay out of spam folders, how to keep your list hygiene good. Basically anything you would ever want to know about getting opt-ins and managing a mailing list and making money off a mailing list. It's all in there. It's a very dense book. It's only 250 pages, but it's I don't waste a lot of time on examples and stories and kind of stuff like that. It's almost a dense technical how-to kind of manual of hey, you want to implement email marketing into your business, take this book and this will show you exactly what to do.
Everything's in there.
Yeah. If anybody's interested in getting the Kindle version, just go to the domain name myemailmarketingbook.com. I think it's only like $3 on Amazon. So I'm not getting rich off it. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'll need to get a copy because I do collect emails, but this is not my strength. And actually, I think I'm really, really bad at it. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't understand. Not that I don't understand it. I don't think about and I don't apply that I should be applying. So for sure, I'll be getting the book from you, man.
Yeah, you're talking about just like the Extra Paycheck podcast website.
Generally, because I have some like niche websites, and I'm not even collecting emails on most of them.
Yeah.
So that's something that I really have to think about. But for the Extra Paycheck, I do collect emails, but I'm not. There's I need to work a lot on that. And finding good resources is hard sometimes because information is conflicting. And why I love paying for information such as your book is because everything's in one place and it's everything that I need. So I know I could just spend my time, concentrate on reading this one full resource, and I'll learn most of what I need to know.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of paying for good content. With internet business, a lot of the stuff that you see online or you buy in a course, it's not something original, but I spent $2,000 for a course on, a big investment strategy. And yeah, I probably could have read 6 or 7 books and gotten the same thing. But, to learn from somebody who's actually done it and, can answer your questions and kind of show you, here's only what you need to know. And you don't need to know anything else to get started doing this thing. That can be pretty valuable. We have to think, as entrepreneurs, our time is valuable. And if we can shortcut the learning process by buying a resource of whether it's a class, a book, whatever, it usually turns out to be a pretty good investment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And yeah, once again, I agree with you. And I think my time is often a lot more valuable than, some money that I would pay for a product or a course or a service, because yeah, I could do everything myself and I could find all of that information free probably if I spend next few years researching all the information and trying to put all the pieces into one puzzle,
Yeah. One thing.
So yeah, buying. Go ahead.
One thing I like to do is think, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I make this much per year. What is my time actually worth on an hourly basis? For a while, I used kind of the idea of my time is probably worth about $500 an hour. So if I'm doing something that's like a $20 an hour task, like answering customer support emails, if I'm doing a $20 an hour task, I'm definitely not doing a $500 an hour task. So it's costing me money to focus on those low value tasks, because that means I'm doing it at the expense of other stuff. So that's kind of my filter for outsourcing or delegating stuff is, am I making that level of money by doing this task? And if not, why isn't one of my assistants or helpers or my employees doing this? And that will give you. If you figure out what your hourly rate is, like if you made $200,000 a year, you might be, it would be like $100 an hour. So if you get presented with an opportunity, it's like, oh, do you want to come mow my lawn for $20 an hour? It's like, heck no, I'm worth $100 an hour. I'm not doing that. But you just have to understand what you're worth, and then you can use that as kind of a lens to filter through different opportunities that show up. It's like, is this worth my time? And most of the opportunities that online entrepreneurs get presented with, a lot of those are a waste of time. And just kind of knowing what your hourly rate is a good way to filter some of that stuff out.
Mm-hmm. Really great advice. And I think this is super important for people who aren't outsourcing and hiring virtual assistants, but they kind of want to, but they're not sure. This is the way to go about it. As Matthew just explained, guys, figure out your value, your time value. What is your time worth to you? Put like a real dollar figure on it. And if you could pay someone to do that work for you and pay them less that you're making, then it's totally worth doing so. And there's so many tasks that we do, especially when you're running a business online. There's so many stupid things that we have to do, like sometimes just posting your links somewhere, or editing a picture for your blog post or something like that. It's things that take a lot of time, but they're not worth it. It's so much more productive to actually pay someone to do those little tasks and concentrate on either creating content or doing the actual marketing for your business. That's more valuable to you, or at least it should be.
I absolutely agree. I guess I don't know what else there is to say about that, but
yeah,
if you're making any amount of money, it's probably worth it to have a VA of some kind or another.
Yeah, totally. And Matthew, I guess this is one of the reasons you hired people for MarketBeat, the writers, because a few writers could do so much more work than you, especially if they dedicate all their time to writing good content.
Yeah, I mean, I should not be writing blog posts or news stories every day. It's just not a good use of my time. But for somebody who is, a professional writer for, online websites, it might be worth their time to write for $20, $25 an hour. But, for me, it takes a lot of energy out of me to write. And if I'm doing that, I'm not doing other things.
Exactly. That's totally understandable. All right, Matthew, maybe you could share with us some of your very, very hardest moments in your career. And I'm sure that the whole Panda algorithm update that knocked your site down back in the day was a hard one. But maybe you could share another story which, was a roadblock of sorts for your business, where it was hard to overcome, but you still did it.
Yeah. So probably maybe 2 years ago now, I was doing all of my email delivery through Amazon SES. And I had gotten a warning from them saying, hey, we think you're sending out an investment scam email. And the email was from somebody who was obviously from India, Pakistan, somewhere in that part of the world, who didn't really have an understanding of what financial publishing is like in this country. And I responded and said, hey, what are you talking about? These are legitimate financial products we're promoting. This is the Motley Fool or whoever it was. They're a well-known, reputable company. I don't see what the big deal was. And then, 10 emails back and forth over like 2 or 3 days. And they said, well, we think you're a penny stock scammer. So we're going to have to shut down your account. And I was like, ouch. What the heck? So I had 100,000 people on my email list. And then I all of a sudden had no way to email them. And I was like, crap. There goes my money. What am I going to do? Because with most ESPs, like, they don't just let you start sending 100,000 emails a day right away. They make you ramp up into it. So I just had no way to communicate with everybody in that short amount of, like, it was going to take 30 to 60 days to email everybody. And I was like, there goes half my business. What am I going to do? Fortunately, I was able to, I got in touch with people at SendGrid, and I kind of told them what was going on, and then I showed them some of my email, and they really came and saved the day for me. I signed up for one of their enterprise plans. They were happy to get me signed up and really helped me out there. But there was probably about a week where I was like, I can't email my people. My newsletter's not going out. People are going to think I'm out of business. I've got people that are paying me to get the premium newsletter. They're not getting it. That was a really bad deal.
Yeah, that sounds pretty horrible, actually, and pretty scary. And, this is something that I kind of dislike about Amazon. I'm a seller on Amazon as well. And sometimes the stuff that they give you, or the explanations or reasons for some restrictions, we just don't understand them, and they don't understand us, because a lot of their support is based in, as you mentioned, countries like India, where they don't have the same culture, they don't have the same understanding of things, and sometimes they really misinterpret things, and you can't do anything, right?
Yep.
So they shut you down, and then good luck trying to find someone who's like a head of the operations or whatever and try to explain things. Just sometimes it's easier to move away from them. But wow, what a story, man. And congratulations on sticking through it and actually moving on to something better, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's stuff like that has happened over the years. I've gotten like sites kicked out of Google News, or like last, maybe a month ago, StockTwits told me that they didn't want my content in StockTwits anymore, and it's like, well, what do you do? But I always find a way to get around stuff like that, and just make it work. Usually when you think end of the world stuff like that happens, it's usually not an end of the world thing. You usually figure out a way around it. So, I've kind of gotten over getting really upset about those things, and it's just like, okay, I've got this problem. Now how do I solve it? Just without letting it ruin my day or being emotional about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice. All right, Matthew. Before you go, I would like to ask you another question, an important one here. What would be your most important advice or suggestion to beginner entrepreneurs?
Yeah, stay off the Warrior Forum.
That's a good one.
Yeah. No, that's no. Really, it's if I had a friend that was starting an online business, today, I would tell them to figure out a business model that already exists, whether that's like Amazon FBA or being an Amazon associate or something like that, and just go find a couple people that are doing that really well, see what they're doing, and then just copy the crap out of them. Not like ripping them off by copy and pasting their text or anything, but it's like if somebody else already has a business model that you can use to replicate, I think it's much better to do that than to just kind of blindly try to start something that you don't know if it's going to work or not. I think it's important to get an early success in to if you start it and you make money within the first 90 days, you're feeling pretty good about it. But if you're screwing around with it for a year and you haven't made anything, it's hard to keep going. So I try to get people to the point where they're making money early, and the easiest way to do that is, find a few people that are already in some kind of category, see what they're doing, and then just do what they're doing. I certainly wasn't the first person with a financial news website, but we've kind of made our own brand, made our own, took our own slant on things, and now we're a respected publisher just like anybody else. Everybody gets their start somewhere. So it's just see what's working and do that. I mean, I wouldn't try to reinvent the wheel on your first thing.
Yeah, great advice, Matthew. And I noticed that I usually don't pay as much attention to what people say. Let's say entrepreneurs that have achieved things that I would like to achieve, right? Mm-hmm. I do, pay attention to their content, but not as much as to what they do themselves, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I really pay attention how they do things, how they address their fans, how they post the content, what kind of content. And this is where I'm like, this is important because they make money by doing, not just by talking, It's not theory. They actually run a business and they make money out of it. So what do they do in that business, and what could I, as you said, either copy or apply to my business that I'm not applying that they are? That's really great advice, Matthew. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
All right. So for people who want to find out more about you, your business, your book, where should they go?
So on Twitter, I'm at Matthew DP, D as in dog, P as in pony. My website is mattpaulson.com. So it's mattpaulson.com. I write a couple blog posts a month on there. And then my first book, 40 Rules for Internet Business Success. Just go to 40rulesbook.com. And then for my newest book, Email Marketing Demystified, it's myemailmarketingbook.com. And then my email address is just matt@mattpaulson.com.
All right, Matthew, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And thank you for being on the show today. Really appreciate your insights and your advice.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. As usual, I will be putting up show notes page at extrapodcast.com/57, where you will be able to find resources, links, and other things mentioned in today's episode. Also, head over to extrapodcast.com/iTunes in order to subscribe to the show, leave a rating and a review, which will help me tremendously. Thank you so much once again, and I'll talk to you next Monday.